Cool intro sound.
Alright, how's it going guys? AlphaYGO back at it again, and today I am bringing you something pretty cool, and it is Pure Thunder Dragon. Pure Thunder Dragon is something I've been messing with in this current format because since the drop of the Megatins, I've been opting to play a little bit less super combo heavy decks, but I still wanted to play something that has really cool combos, so I felt like Pure Thunder Dragon really fell in that line, and of course like the artwork of these guys is just phenomenal. So I'm like, what better way to just enjoy myself in this format before the next ban list with something like Thunder Dragons. And this list is, in my opinion, relatively budget friendly. We're not running Phantasme, we're not running Impermanence, we don't have Apollo Ursa, we're not running BLS Link, we're not running just all those other like really high priced cards you might see in other profiles at the moment. So if you're looking for a way to play this deck at a relatively decent price, then I got the list for you. Of course, stuff like Thunder Dragons, just their somewhat uppity price at the moment, whether it's the reprint or the original ones. We can't really avoid that. If you want to pick up the core, that's going to be the core price itself. But everything else around the core, I have provided relatively budget options for you to play. And I will also discuss other even cheaper alternatives for those who really want to play this deck at the lowest price possible. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Starting off our list, we have of course Triple Thunder Dragon. Wouldn't be a Thunder Dragon list if we didn't run Thunder Dragon, obviously. And this guy is obviously great for the fact that it always makes your Colossus able to be live to summon. With Titan, it's like 2 pops in and of itself. And it helps with the fact that you can also like load up your graveyard with light monsters and whatnot, which can be very useful. And following that, we have the main lineup of the Thunder Dragon monsters, which I'm sure we all know by now. Triple Dark, Triple Roar, and Triple Hawk. I know Hawk is a little debated on whether you want to run 2 or 3, but in my opinion 3 is just fine. 3 is actually very nice in my opinion because it always makes Colossus live because you can just pitch it to summon a body, and that body can net you even more value if it's a Roar or Dark or even a Matrix. So I think Hawk is really good at 3 in my opinion, and maximizing all our counts at 3 really helps up our consistency as well in my opinion. So following that, we have of course Triple Thunder Dragon Matrix. Matrix is really good in my opinion. Under Titan, it's like a free pop under damage step, which is really useful. It's of course because its discard effect is a stat changing effect which can occur in damage step, and Titan also reads that it can pop in damage step as well. So in tandem, it's really annoying for your opponent to play around that. And of course we have Triple Batteryman Solar. And following that, we have Triple Batteryman Solar. Solar is really good in my opinion because it's like, it just dumps you whatever you need, and if you have really good follow-up play, then it just secures a lot of value and lets you make really powerful boards. And it just gives you the options of a lot of different boards as well. We don't run Aloof Lupine in this build, but you can definitely run him because even I like him to an extent because he banishes for cost, which is insane. But at the same time, I felt as though 3 Solar was just fine for this build, honestly. So if you want to squeeze in Aloof Lupine in some places, go for it because I actually like him a lot. Helps you play under stuff like there can be only 1 as well, which is really neat. But at the moment, 3 Solar is all you really need for this deck in my opinion. Following that, we have the one of Dragon Duo. Duo is really good because like when you search it off, whether in your beginning plays, mid game, whatever, it's really powerful. The fact that it's a level 8 Thunder Dragon monster that's basically a chaos monster as well because it banishes 2, and when you banish those 2, that can net even more value, and it's just all around a really great monster. I know you can run it at 2, but I think just the one searchable copy is just fine the way it is. And speaking of other searchable copies of Thunder monsters, we have the one Denko Sekka. Denko Sekka is really good because it's of course it's searchable, and when you're facing something like a back row deck in game 1, just popping this down just makes your opponent like look at their board and be like, man, this is really unfortunate. So in that case, I really like the utility of the one Denko Sekka, and it's an easy saddle against decks that don't run a lot of back row. But a lot of decks in the format do run disruption in the back row a lot, whether it's Salamangreat, even Orcus with that Crescendo, and of course there's stuff like Sky Striker, Guru Control, this and that, blah blah blah. There's a lot of utility for this card, so in my opinion, it's really nice to run the one copy in the main. But following that, our version of Thunder Dragon runs on the fact that we also run hand traps to back up our fairly strong fusion boards. So right now we have Triple Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom, of course, at the common to super rarity is, you know, like $10 a copy approximately here in Canada. So yeah, that's around $30 you're gonna have to spend to get these guys. That's the kind of budget I was aiming for, you know, like people who are willing to spend around the $30 range for a place of a competitive card. Because following this, we also have triple copies of Nibiru. Nibiru is a really, really strong blowout card. It's not live against every deck, but it's live against a lot of decks, which helps warrant just playing it. And of course, we have triple Dimension Shifter. Dimension Shifter is an affordable card at the moment. It's the cheapest hand trap out of the rest of these, and it has a lot of high impact when you open it, and Thunder Dragon has ways of playing and using it really well. I know people say it's really dead following turns after turn 1, which is true. It's harder to resolve it, but of course our main go-to aspect of it is when you open it, especially with Batman Solar, you just pop off super hard. Your opponent is almost locked out of the graveyard, which is amazing. We only run these 9 hand traps, and the reason we run these 9 is because they're super high impact. Resolving Dimension Shifter early is super high impact because your opponent can't play with the graveyard. Nibiru, as we know, is just a blowout card in general, and Ash Blossom is just basically a really generic hand trap that hits everything, right? But again, I know Nibiru at the moment is a bit pricey, which a lot of people might be daunted towards playing, but as you can tell, we run 9 hand traps, and these 9 hand traps can be any other hand trap that you own. So if you have copies of, like, let's say Effect Veiler, I say run Effect Veiler. Granted, Effect Veiler is not that good under Dimension Shifter, so you might have to opt to not play Dimension Shifter. Effect Veiler, DD Crow, and Ghost Ogre, let's say. Those 3 could just be put in here at any time, because putting those with your Colossus and Titans is still very beneficial. And although I'm giving you options of like other more affordable hand traps, the reason I like to run these 3 in particular is because these are more blowout cards. These cards can really turn the tide of a game really easily and really secure those wins. Ash Blossom is a little bit less in that regard because it only can stop like maybe one thing. If you do it smartly or if you get lucky, then yeah, it's like really good. But like this would be triple Phantasme just so you can see these other 2 in my opinion. But at the same time, if you can't run hand traps, I can also recommend running other things like Floodgates or Back Row, because these 9 cards are just 9 blank spots for you to run other non-Thunder cards to supplement your already established Thunder board. So when you sit on a Colossus and a Titan, maybe one or the other, even both, when you just have any 1 or 2 of these 9 potential cards, disruptions, whether it's like Strike, whether it's a Floodgate, whether it's like something as simple as Compulse, can like really supplement your board to secure you the win. So that's what I mean by like, these are the 9 I'm running, but you don't have to run these 9. You can run anything else that supplements your board. And of course, following that, we have Thunder Dragon Fusion. Thunder Dragon Fusion is really powerful because it helps you with the grind game, and it's a big power play in of itself. It's a searcher as well. This card does everything. You don't really need 3 because you're able to cycle it over and over again once you see it. And it's a searchable card as well. Sometimes I feel like I want to play 3, but if you play smartly enough, you only really need 2. And of course, following that, we have triple, Lair of Darkness. Lair of Darkness is just fantastic in this deck because it's basically, in my opinion, it's Pot of Greed with the plus side. Because like when you banish a Dark Aurora, you just net even more value, and it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't like you plus from using this card. Unlike other decks where it just fixes your hand, this card actually lets you plus in this deck, in my opinion. So it's really powerful. Then we have triple copies of Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is obviously very powerful, whether we bring out Kaminari Attack to supplement our Thunderboards, or we can put out Thousand Eyes Restrict, which helps us suck up really problematic monsters that our opponent has and helps break boards. So the double usage of this card is really powerful. And of course, we have the 1 Gold Sark. Gold Sark is really powerful because it's like our 1 card power play. So it's really good. And following up, we have triple copies of Paleozoic Deinamiscus. Of course, another very budget-friendly card because, you know, it's very affordable. And the fact is, it's really useful in the fact that it helps you get rid of really problematic cards. It can get rid of Back Row, it can get rid of Mystic Mind, it can get rid of like really annoying monsters as well. And it really helps when like whether you activate your other Deinamiscus or your opponent uses another trap card, being able to bring out the other body, which is basically an Aqua, it helps you play under things like, let's say there can be only 1. And with another Thunder monster, you can make Nightmare Phoenix and pop whatever back row that was bothering you. So for example, a situation of there can be only 1. If you had to use this on something else and it's just sitting in grave, so let's say this is chilling in grave because you used it prior, your opponent activates there can be only 1, well you get to summon that Paleozoic Deinamiscus, and with another Thunder monster, you can link 2 away into a Nightmare Phoenix and just pop away, which is very useful. Following with our extra deck, we of course have triple Thunder Dragon Colossus, the go-to boss monster of our deck, and what more can I say? It's a walking mistake. It's just so powerful in my opinion. A lot of decks, when they see this and they have only search cards, they have to scoop. And of course we have double Titan. Titan is really powerful. 3 pops for days, giant body. You can run 3, but I find myself only ever needing 2, but of course you can run it to 3. Being able to just run your boss monster at max count is very useful because it helps you use your Thunder Dragon Fusion a little bit more leniently. So in my opinion, 3rd is good, but not mandatory. The one card in our deck that I feel like you're going to have to dish out a little bit of money for is Kaminari Attack. It's not the most expensive card, but it's still annoying because it's just like this old school card that, like, you know, hasn't seen a reprint ever. So it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate that we're gonna have to play this card, but it's a very powerful card and warrants being played. So this is the one spot where the wiggle room is a little more annoying. And we of course have the 1000 Eyes Restrict. 1000 Eyes Restrict just helps us break boards, like I mentioned before. Then we have copies of Venom and Mega Fleet. Venom is because I like to run Super Poly in the side a lot, but this of course can be replaced with anything else. This can be the third Titan, this can be any other Link monster, or any other fusion Super Poly target if you like to run Super Poly like me. So that's why I run it. And Mega Fleet, of course, this is an expensive card, so I will provide a budget option for this card. But it is useful for the fact that I just face a lot of Cyber Orcas, so it just helps me break their boards really easily. So I like it a lot. And following that, we have copies of one Link Karibo. Link Karibo is really nice for stuff like Matrix, sending it off to get ourselves a search. And when you put it out, it kind of helps you in the fact you're not going to die that turn. So when you set up a Link Karibo with maybe like Colossus or Titan underneath, it just helps you not die that turn, which is all this deck really needs. And of course, we have copies of Nightmare Phoenix, which just helps you pop really annoying spell and trap cards. Summon Summoner, which is just your go-to Thunder Link monster. And Cypher Alarm Lambda. This card is a little pricey on its own as well, and people might not wish to pick it up. So of course, I'll showcase other alternatives you can play for this card, but having that generic Link 2 is really nice alongside Summoner. So I think a generic Link 2 is really nice in general. And Lambda is just a popular pick because of its stats and whatnot. Found out we have a Borosword. Although it's a lot more affordable now, it's sitting in like the $15 to $20 spot for the Megaton reprints at the moment. It does suck because, you know, that still might not be in your expected price range. So I will offer another alternative to this card as well. But this definitely beats paying whatever you're paying for the BLS Link. So I say if you have the money, I think go for Borosword, because Borosword is just a fantastic monster. Borosword is like such a game-defining card in my opinion. So if you do have the extra budget, I do say pick up a Borosword for yourself whenever you can. And our last monster is number 68, Sanafon. Sanafon is, again, this can be another Link 2 monster, this could be anything else. But the reason I like Sanafon is because when you're facing something that really uses the grave a lot, whether it's Salamander or Orcus, Orcus being our worst matchup, if we don't see Dimension Shifter, making Sanafon is really useful. And of course, you don't have to use like double Colossus for it, but you can easily search Duo, and that Duo can be the second half of your rank 8 play, and it's really nice in that regard. But again, this can be another Link monster. It could even be Unicorn. A lot of people like to play Unicorn, and it's a little bit more affordable now because of the Megaton reprint. So if you want to run Unicorn, go for it. But I'm just running Sanafon here because I like that utility of shutting off the graveyard, even when we don't see Dimension Shifter. So in terms of some budget options for our extra deck, so even though something like Borosword is a lot more affordable than the BLS Link, I think there are other cool options that we can run for it. So for example, there's a common Borolord out there from the structure deck for Rocket Revolt, which is very affordable. It's a great extra deck go-to as well, because even though it doesn't help OTK like Borosword, it can help break boards that Borosword can't really provide as well as Borolord. So you can actually run this guy, and it's very affordable because it's like a common that comes in a structure deck. So I say you can go for that. Another option for Lambda is something like Wee Witch. Wee Witch is really good because you run a lot of dark monsters, it makes your monsters really beefy. Of course, be careful of when you bring out light monsters, but this can be something like Landfall Linkus. This can be, you know, basically anything else as well. But a Link 2 is very useful in that regard. And of course, if you don't want to run the Mega Fleet, you can run that third Thunder Dragon Titan. And this can go for the same logic of if you don't want to run like Super Poly targets, that it can also be this. It just helps because like Super Poly is really nice because in the mirror, your Thunder monsters just are already Super Poly targets, so it just makes your life a lot easier. And there's a lot of other options and creative ideas you can put in, whether it's other Link monsters, other tech cards. But if you want to replace these cards with a lot cheaper options, these are the 3 I recommend. And altogether, that should help bring down the cost a lot more in my opinion as well. So with that said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really wanted to make this list as reasonably affordable for you guys as possible, and hopefully I was able to cater to both you average level budget players and the people who don't want to spend that much money on the game but really have a passion for Thunder Dragon. So hopefully I was able to brew up some ideas in your head of how you could play this deck at varying different budgets. Of course, when you have stuff like Imperm, the BLS Link, the Phantasmes and all that stuff, put them in, make this deck as powerful as possible, stomp on your opponent as much as you can, tell them AlphaYGO sent you. But with that said, there's different ways you can play this deck under different play styles, under different budgets, so there's plenty of ways you can go about this, but this is just the way I like to play it at the moment. So go ahead and cater the deck to however you like. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.